If you love lacy junk journals, rusty clips, wallpaper, and original old papers, you're going to love making this waterfall style junk journal. G'day, I'm Donna from Australia, and I'm going to show you how to put your pages together so they cascade. And cascade means I'm going to use several pages that fall in stages so you can see them from the very front of your journal. I'm going to demonstrate how you do this by using different colour copy paper. You'll be able to see it much better. So I've got an A4. I fold it in half to be my first lacy page. I get my green sheet to make my second lacy page. I don't need it to be as wide as the purple page. So it's shorter than the purple and it's narrower than the purple page. I'm also going to add some pre-folded papers that I've got in my stash. Now I'm using all of these coloured papers to represent my lace pages. So you would use pretty book papers or pretty paper instead of this colour copy paper. I'm going to put this printed paper pocket page in between the purple and the green. This is optional. You don't have to put a page in between, but I like it done this way. Now another between page, I'm just going to resize this to go next to the green lace page. You can do it as a flip fold at the front and leave it a bit wider at the back, as long as it doesn't come past the purple page. I'm getting my next lacy page and I slide it underneath, and I'm going to make sure that it falls a bit shorter than the green page, and I just put a crease in it and I'm cutting it down to the size I want. Everything is staggered. You don't have to have it perfectly staggered. You can have them the same height if you want, but I'm just sort of doing it randomly. I'm going to add another in between sheet and resize it to how I want it, and it's narrow at the front and wider at the back. Now my next piece is another lacy piece, and I'm just putting it just shy of that pink piece, and I'm cutting it off again. So it's narrow at the front and narrow at the back. I'm adding another in between sheet, and I've just cut it down a little bit in height, and I'm making it a flip at the front. So you can really see where this is going. Now I'm going to add this yellow piece, but you know what? You don't have to have them all equally spaced apart. You can move it over to wherever you want. This one I'm making narrow at the front and a flip at the back, and I'm cutting it down to be quite short. You can make as many of the lacy pages as you like. I've done 5, and I've also done a page in between. So lace, a page, a lace page, a page, a lace page, and a page, and I end with a lace page. That's the waterfall pages finished. Now I'm going to add some normal papers to the inside, and I just call them normal, random pages, papers, whatever you want to fill your journal with. Then I'm coming back to the beginning, and like this page here, I put a vintage receipt at the front. So on my demo, I'm just going to show you, you can use anything. I'm just using a vintage check. And if I had book pages here and other beautiful pages, you would see it would look much better, of course. Now before I move on, I'm just going to show you how you can do the lace. You can shorten these pieces and add the lace from here, or you can start by leaving the pages this wide and adding lace to it so it comes out much further to the right. It's entirely up to you how you add your lace here. Did you notice this piece of deli paper I used here for a page? I start with deli paper, I put it through the printer, and then I sew my lace on the edge. And this is the paper I used. I'll put the link in the description so you can go and have a look at it. This is the print side and the yellow is the sticky side. I'm going to show you my method for using the sticky paper to carry the deli paper through your printer. The link is in the description so you can go and have a look at this as well. If you have the 12 by 12 deli sheets, you need to cut them down to be the same size as your sticker paper. Now I'm going to put a pencil mark on the yellow side of my sticker paper around about 1/8 of an inch all the way around the whole border. If you want to, at the end that you feed into your printer, make it a bit wider. And why I've done this is we're going to remove the yellow paper just on this fine border around the edge using a kiss cut. Get a craft knife and a ruler and just cut through the yellow paper, not the white. You got 2 layers of paper here, so you're just lightly cutting the yellow paper. And you're supposed to see no cut marks on the white side. Then just go back to the yellow side and peel this border off the edge. This step is going to leave you a sticky edge around all 4 sides of your paper. So you grab your deli paper, line it up at the bottom, and if you decided to make one edge wider, start here. And then once that is stuck down, you can let the deli paper fall into place on your sticker sheet and then just gently press around it and smooth it out so that there's no raised pieces of paper. If your printer prints the deli paper on the top side, put it in your printer. Mine prints the deli paper facing down. The printer I'm using is from 𝗀𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗶. So just open your page print, select landscape or portrait, whatever it's set up for, and then just hit print. I'm using the Epson EcoTank ET4850. My print looks a bit yellow, and that's only because you can see the yellow transfer sheet underneath the deli paper. You can cut your edges off, which is that sticky border, or you can just peel it off. And then you need to trim the borders off your deli paper. You can use this for tall skinny journals, or you can fold them landscape like I do for this journal. The deli paper's got a little bit more oomph than tissue paper, but what I suggest is you use a very fine lace. Don't put anything heavy on it because the page will fall over. It's a good idea to use a fine lace on any fine paper you use. There's a couple of ways you can add your lace to your pages. This is a snippet roll. I put the link in the description below on how you can make these yourself. So you don't have to use lace. If you've got a good weight paper that will hold a snippet roll, you can add this to one of the edges. This looks absolutely beautiful. This snippet roll is one of my favorites to use. So I just put a bit of fabric glue on the bottom. Then I take my paper clip off the top and I put the glue on my page, not the snippet roll, because you're not exactly sure how much is going to hang over. You don't want glue on that piece. This piece here has been glued on. That's why you see no stitches at the back. This piece has been sewn on and I left the straggly threads. This piece has been glued and sewn. This one, you know, has just been glued. This one has just been glued. It was white and I coffee dyed it. So you can coffee dye your lace. And this one is the deli paper. I should have really only added this one row of fine lace on it, but I love this other lace so much. I sewed it on the back first and then put the light one over the top. But the pages turned out beautiful. If you take your time, you'll be able to get these results as well. I added a piece of home printed fabric to the front of my pages, and this is so I can glue it down to the inside of the wallpaper that I'm using for my cover. So the print side faces your pages and the blank side faces the cover. For this particular journal, I'm adding this at the moment as if it was a page. And that's just so you can get your head around what I'm going to do. I'm getting ready to sew the pages in, and I'm going to put this envelope in the very center fold. But as you know, when you put an envelope in, you just sew it down the bottom fold and then you glue it together later. Now that we've got our pages ready, the next step is sewing them together. I'm using the 5-hole pamphlet stitch. You could use the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I won't be demonstrating the actual stitching in this video, but if you're curious about how it's done, I'll leave a link to the tutorial in the description box below. But for now, I'll just brief you on my process. I poke my holes all the way through from the center, right through all the pages and coming out on the fabric piece. And I start sewing from the center. I'm using a polyester upholstery thread. You could use a wax thread or an embroidery floss. I've put my stitches rather close together and more towards the center of the length of the journal. Believe it or not, it works. The pages don't wobble around, they turn perfectly. Just going to glue the envelope closed. I'm using the 𝗵𝗱𝗶𝗹 art glue. It's nice and strong, so you don't need to use a lot of it. And I'm adding the glue to the short side of my envelope so that I don't have to wipe any glue off the top end. Press that down, and that is your envelope ready to put something in. I think it needs something just a little bit more, so I glue this beautiful butterfly on it, and I put a link in the description box below if you want to see how I made it. I'm moving to the wallpaper cover. You don't have to use wallpaper. You can use a reinforced fabric, you can use a cardstock, but I've got this lovely vintage wallpaper that looks perfect with this journal. So I put one doily on first and fold it over the spine and then add this little one. Now I know this is where I'd like it to go. I just lay my wallpaper flat on the table, and in parts I'm lifting up both the bottom doily and the top doily, and I'm using the fabric glue. I just go all the way over it so that it's held in place really well like this. The next step, I'm going to glue down this fabric piece to the inside of the wallpaper, both front and back. To glue the fabric to the inside of the wallpaper, I'm going to use the Helma fabric glue that I get from Spotlight in Australia. I'm just going to place my pages right in the center of where I want my wallpaper, and I'm going to glue on the wallpaper only directly behind where the fabric piece goes. Once I've spread the glue, I'm going to use my finger to smooth it out. And then I'm going to turn the front page over onto the paper pages rather than take the fabric to the wallpaper. And then I'm just going to press it down lightly because I don't want the glue to push through this fabric. Then I pick the pages up and balance them in the center and turn it over carefully and just start adding the glue to the back piece of the wallpaper in the same way I did the front. I spread it out with my fingers, and that helps get it in all these grooves of the wallpaper and also prevents it from seeping through the fabric. So I close the back cover onto the pages again, and this one turned out a bit wrinkly, so it's pretty easy to fix. You just smooth it out with your bone folder rather than your fingers. Your fingers will potentially push the glue through the fabric. You're better off using your bone folder. Yay! We've finished this one. I love how this doesn't show the stitches through the lace doilies. You could definitely put the wallpaper over the pages and sew all the way through the wallpaper and the doily. There's no stopping you from doing that, but I like to do it this way. Instead of tying a piece of seam binding or ribbon or something around it, I'm going to use one of these vintage paper clips to just clamp onto the front cover. If you can't get a hold of vintage ones, just jump on Amazon. I'll put the link below to these two clips. They look just as good, but it just depends on what you like. See that? This is a shop bought one. It looks fine. But I do love these rusty old vintage ones that I picked up off Etsy. I love the minimalist look, and I made a paper bead out of the wallpaper to go with this journal. I'll put the link in the description below on how you can make your own paper beads. Now I'm just going to leave you to enjoy the flip through.
When we find this over